Welcome back. We've got another late upload today. Had my first day of work and started a bit later than it usually does because we had to do orientation and all that good stuff. So that is why it's a bit later today. Should still drop before the matches start, which is good. My schedule will probably solidify. I now know like my work times for every week, so that should solidify in a little bit. And once I get a better feel for it, I'm planning on starting to stream more regularly. Hopefully, I'll have some of my equipment back soon, and I'll be able to do more things like stuff on PC. So I'm excited for that. Hope you guys are too. A lot of new content coming, not just Overwatch. Doing a lot more stuff. So stay tuned for news on that. But for today, it is the very last regular season predictions. This is it. Stage 4, week number 5, part number 2. Last 2 days of the week. We had some crazy sets the last couple days. There were a couple things that made me really happy. There were a couple things that made me really, really mad. Well, one team. I'll get into that in a little bit though. So, what I was happy about, Houston Outlaws and Seoul Dynasty, they dug deep. They needed to win their matches. They both won their matches. I was probably even more proud of the Houston Outlaws because they were able to beat the team that they need to pass in the Philadelphia Fusion. So now if Philadelphia loses to the Spitfire in their matchup tomorrow, and if Houston can beat the New York Excelsior today, then they are in. Going to go more in depth on that in a little bit, but I'm going to quickly talk about Seoul Dynasty first. They won against the Dallas Fuel. That's their 4th win against them, I believe. So they've had a lot of good sets, these two teams, but Seoul has always found a way to come up on top. So I picked against them. I was wrong. They finally proved me wrong. So they still have a chance if the Outlaws lose to the Excelsior and if the Fusion lose to the Spitfire, and then if Dynasty can beat the Gladiators, they will be into the playoffs. They still have a chance. I'll talk about whether I think they can do that when I get to their matchup in a little bit. But first, we're going to focus on, like I said, Houston and their opponent for today, the New York Excelsior. The thing I was mad about, crazy coincidence, happens to be the New York Excelsior. They are throwing. They're throwing at this point. That game yesterday against the Boston Uprising just enraged me. It enraged. They just. What are they doing? I understand they don't win. They don't need to win matches, but why are they trying to lose them? This game, they threw this just 100%. The players didn't play well. They looked uninterested. The coaching job was terrible. They didn't prepare them at all. It was like they've taken the hiding your strategy from your opponents way too far. That's terrible. For the first time in a while, I'm going to pick against them. I think they're going to lose this. I think the Owls beat them in 5 games, and it could be even less than that. The Owls have a lot to play for. The New York Excelsior clearly don't care about going 6-4 this stage. They might drop out of the stage playoffs at this rate. I'm disgusted. I was completely disgusted by their effort yesterday. How do you do that? A 2-6 Uprising team that had lost 6 straight. You're way better than them in every way. And you blow that? Like, they're playing lackadaisical. They weren't... Jonak looked like he was the only one out there trying. They had Libero playing Tracer. Come on. That was horrible. I am just disgusted with the number 1 team right now. I want someone to beat them. I want the Owls to beat them. I want someone to beat them right away when they play them in the playoffs now. Come on. Why is losing matches against teams that you should beat with relative ease, that's good playoff preparation? It's a bunch of bullshit. I was really pissed off about this. As you can tell, still am. Like, get your act together, New York. Come on. You're giving every team in the league hope that they can beat you now. So they're biting themselves in the ass here. It's just, I don't know what they're thinking. I think that Houston's going to beat them. They have more to play for. New York clearly doesn't care. Houston played really well yesterday. So I'm going to say they win this one. Even if New York comes back and beats them and they like crush them and they show like, oh, dominant New York, I'm still mad at them. That's a disgrace. That's a disgrace to the league. What about your fans that showed up to watch you and they got to watch that shell of a team? Like, really? Ah. I'm not even going to talk about the maps that they're on. I can't talk about that. Houston wins it. Lynx is going to pop off, I believe. Go Houston. Match number 2. It's another team that needs a win to get back into the playoffs, and a team that has clinched the playoffs. Gladiators, they 4-0 the Shanghai Dragons and clinched their playoff spot. They are in. Right now they're sitting at number 5. The chances are extremely low. That they will fall to number 6 for the Gladiators. If they lose 0-4 and Fusion has a dominant victory, then it could happen. But they're kind of locked in at number 5 right now. They are because their map differential is good enough that even if they lose 0-4 and Fusion wins 4-0, they will not fall. So Gladiators have clinched at least the number 5 seed. They are tied with the Spitfire on overall wins, but they're way behind in map differential. So they would need to win, and London would have to lose, which is possible because they're playing the Fusion, who really need a win. So they could potentially win and stay at 5. They could win and jump to 4. Also, Boston is 1 match ahead of them, and their map differential is 2 better. So if Boston loses and if Gladiators win, Gladiators could potentially jump up to number 3. So they're going to be 3, 4, or 5. If you're Gladiators, you're really hoping to grab number at least 4 because then you're the home team and you have the advantage because the 4 seed will be playing the 5 seed in the first round and the 3 seed will be playing the 6 seed. The number 1 and 2 seeds, the New York Excelsior and Los Angeles Valiant, they get their bye. So they don't have to worry about playing in the first round. It's just like the NFL playoffs, like the format in that case with the seeding. If you know and watch football, so Gladiators, it's an important match for their positioning, but it's not important for their playoff hopes because they've clinched. They've also clinched their spot in the Stage 4 playoffs, so they could lose here and it won't mean too much to them. And I mean, talked about it before, the Dynasty need this match. If they lose, they're out. If they win, they could still be out. If Houston, they could have nothing to play for. If Houston beats New York, then they will have nothing to play for. Because Houston will be clinched in front of them because of map differential. Houston's map differential is good enough that any kind of win, even if they win 3-2, will knock out Seoul, and then obviously for Houston they would need Philadelphia to lose. So this match could partially hinge on whether Houston can beat New York, because if Houston does win, Seoul might just come out and not care nearly as much. I still think Gladiators are a better team. I mean, they're 8-1 on the stage as opposed to 3-6. So I mean, you can see the difference there. They're playing on Kings Row, Hanamura, Oasis, and then Watchpoint Gibraltar. So this map pool, it's probably the best Seoul could have hoped for. In terms of like weaker maps for the Gladiators. The Gladiators are really good on a bunch of these maps this stage. Obviously, I mean, you can tell by their 8-1 record. So it's going to be tough for Seoul here. I don't see them winning. Gladiators are playing really well right now. I don't think that they'll let off the gas like the Excelsior have. It doesn't make sense with 1 match left to just kind of screw around. I think you want to keep your momentum as much as you can. They're on their winning streak. They've won 4 matches in a row, I believe, either 3 or 4. So they're going to come out here. Seoul played pretty well against Dallas. They've been playing better, but Gladiators are looking like the 3rd strongest team in the league right now, and Seoul is looking like 8th or 9th-ish. So even though they need this win, I haven't been able to trust them in clutch situations before. I don't think we'll be able to trust them now. I think the Gladiators take this win 3-1. Seoul will keep it pretty close. They'll show that they really want that playoff spot, and they'll get a map off it and probably keep 1 or 2 of the other ones very close. But the Gladiators' superior teamwork and skill will propel them to this victory. the last match of today. A lot of these are going to go a bit faster because they're not as important. So Dallas, they're still in it for a stage playoff spot, but they need to win this match. If they lose to the Valiant, they're out. And depending on the map differential, they would need what team is it? Because either New York or Houston will knock themselves out of the way for them. So they'll basically just need to get a nice win here, and then, they actually need New York to beat Houston because they're not going to pass New York on tiebreaker. So we'll see how that works out. They are sitting 5th right now in the stage. They're looking to at least finish their season strong, whereas Los Angeles Valiant are going for the 10-0. They're going for the perfect stage. So we'll have to see what happens. I think that, obviously, even though Dallas has played well this stage, I think that Valiant are still definitely the better team. I mean, they haven't lost a match this stage. So I think that Valiant will win this one. The matchups haven't been great for Dallas. I think that if Taimu really can control soon, though, we'll see. They're both kind of streaky Widowmakers. We'll see who can have the stronger performance. If Taimu can really get it going on that, then maybe Dallas has a shot. I'm going to say Valiant, though, 3-1. Could be 3-2. And again, the Fuel could win this. The Valiant weren't playing all their starters on Wednesday, and they probably won't play them all now. So Dallas does have a real opportunity here. But I just think that with the role that the Valiants are on, and just them being the second strongest team right now, I think they will win in the end 3-1. Now, the other very, very, very huge matchup for the day, or for the week, it is Philadelphia Fusion at the London Spitfire. So, Spitfire, they're in the playoffs. They're clinched, but like I said, they could potentially drop to 5th, depending on what happens with the Gladiator Dynasty match. So they will want this. They could potentially jump up to 3rd as well. They're going to want this match for their map differential, and obviously you just want to win every match. It's desperation time for Philadelphia, though. They really, really need to start winning. But honestly, at the start, it looks pretty bad for Philly. I think that London has a real shot to take the first 2 maps, but then Philly will definitely take Oasis. So I think it's going to come down to the 4th map. I think if Philly can get this to a 5th map, they will win, and I think they will. I think Philadelphia will punch their playoff spot here. They've been really inconsistent as a team. We've been over this. They're the picture of inconsistency, but I think that they will turn up for this one. They know that this is it. If they lose, they're out. Well, if they lose, they will know. If Houston and Seoul both lose, then this match doesn't matter for Philly, and maybe there's a different result. But if either of those teams win, Philadelphia needs to win to make the playoffs. So assuming that Houston or Dynasty wins, I think one of them will probably win. But it's definitely possible. It's very possible that they both lose. I think that Philadelphia is going to come out here and they're going to take this one 3-2. It'll be close. Spitfire have been looking better. They've been contesting everyone. It'll be back and forth. But the Spitfire's weakness on control will be their undoing. Plus, Carpe, I feel, is going to pop the hell off because he really wants a win here. And he's been carrying the team a lot of the season. When they've been playing poorly, it's like him trying to drag everyone with him. And when they've been playing well, everyone else is playing well with him. So I think that they're going to do enough here to get the win and get their spot in the overall playoffs. Then, a match that does not matter for any standings. We got the Shanghai Dragons versus San Fran Shock. They're playing on Blizzard World, Horizon Lunar Colony, Lijiang Tower, and then Dorado. Shock have lost a couple games in a row, but Shanghai looks terrible. It's gonna be 0-40. It's here. We've dreaded it, but the Dragons they failed in their chances. They couldn't beat the Fuel. They couldn't end up beating the Mayhem, and they're going to lose this, and they're going to finish their season winless. And 3-1. I'm going to say 3-1 Shock. Dragons will take a map, make it a little interesting, But in the end, I think the Shock are just a far better team, and they will end their season out on a high note. They'll finish this stage 5-5, and then they'll have to start thinking about, all right, which of these, we got a bunch of good DPS players. Who are we going to use? What are we going to do going into stage 2 or in season 2? What are we going to add or possibly subtract? And it's the same thing for Shanghai. But I think that in this matchup, it's the Shock taking it and ending their season 17-23. And then it's the final match of the regular season, the epic fight between Boston Uprising and Florida Mayhem. So they're playing on Kings Row, Horizon Lunar Colony, Lijiang Tower, and Watchpoint Gibraltar. Not a whole lot to talk about here. Even though Boston has looked a lot weaker this stage, they've been looking a lot stronger lately. They've won their last 3 matches. They're going to win this easily. Florida doesn't really stand a chance. Against the Spitfire, they played Zappis and Swoosh, who haven't played in forever, and they got destroyed. They might play them again just to get in a little more playing time, but then it might be the end of them in Overwatch League. We'll have to see what this team does. Florida is one of the most interesting teams. I've talked about it a couple times, but they're one of the most interesting teams to me in terms of what they're going to do with their roster for next season. We'll have to wait until August when like the period for teams to start signing players opens up. So it's hard to say now. I'm going to say Boston wins this one 4-0. They have a tendency to 4-0 teams like this and really snowball and crush them when they're playing the weaker teams. And I think they do that. Florida will finish the season out at 7-33 in 11th place. And Boston will go into the playoffs with a 4-game win streak, and they'll be the number 3 seed. So they'll take on probably the Fusion, but possibly the Outlaws or the Seoul Dynasty. And that leaves probably a Spitfire Gladiator match in the first round. That's what I'm predicting the matchups will be. Depending on what happens with Philly, London, I think that LA could very well be 4, and then London will be the 5. And those are a couple of really solid first-round matchups. And then obviously the winners will go on to play Valiant and Excel. These next couple days, basically halfway through tomorrow, we'll pretty much know everything. Excelsior and Houston are about to play in about 35 minutes. So watch those 2 games if you can. They should be super exciting. And we'll see the playoff teams. I'll make my tomorrow probably. I'll make my either tomorrow or Sunday. I'll make my stage playoffs predictions, and then after that, it's time for the overall playoffs. Super pumped. It's been a great regular season. I hope your team has done well. I hope you've enjoyed Overwatch League. Thank you for watching. I'll definitely be making more stuff, like I said. We'll do some Overwatch League news, if there's crazy trades, blah blah blah. We have our down period of a couple weeks, and then we'll go super in depth with the playoff matchups. Hopefully, I'll have my Elgato and stuff, so I can do some analysis and actually diagram some stuff out and show you guys what some teams do well and what they don't do well, and kind of give a huge, long, in-depth analysis into some of the playoff matchups. That's something that I'm super interested in doing. Hope you guys are interested in seeing that as well. I know that watching this screen and me just air around teams is very, very boring. So hopefully we'll have some stuff like that. But that's going to do it for the video. Hope you guys have a great couple days. Watch some Overwatch. Good luck to your team, whether they're trying to just win a game. Win a game if you're Shanghai, if you're trying to finish your season strong, or if you're trying to make it into the playoffs. Good luck to everyone, and I'll see you guys later.